Hi, my name's Jules Mills. Welcome to my grotto. I've been fitting boots here for over 30 years, so if you'd like to pick up some tips and tricks, keep watching. In level 1, we adjusted the cuffs of the boots to be in perfect alignment with the leg of the customer. Now we're going to look at the lower part of the boot and proper alignment on snow. So for this, we need, again, our flat plate. We need the customer to have the boots on his feet with the custom footbeds inside. Again, a very important point. And I'm going to ask him to get back up onto the plate, feet at the same level and about hip width apart. Then with this tool, I'm going to make a small mark on his knee so we have a reference point, which is roughly the middle of the mass of the knee. Once I have this point, I'm going to use a plumb line to see exactly what happens as he flexes back and forth. So I place the plumb line on the mark we've made just above the boot, and I'm going to ask my customer to flex forward and back again. Now you can see here there is very little displacement of the plumb line on this foot, so I don't really think we need to do a lot to this boot. Let's try the right one now. Okay, and flex forward, and you can see here that the plumb line now is moving to the outside. So I'd like this plumb line to track straight. So I'm going to use a little technique to see exactly how much angle I need to put onto the boot. Now there are many different types of tools available to make this assessment. We're going to use one that's very simple, quick to use. The method I'm going to use is with these stepped plates. As you can see here, there are 6 different steps on these little aluminium plates. Each step is half a degree. So by adding one of these onto the front and the rear of the boot, I can change the angle and see what effect that has on my plumb line. So here, first of all, I'm going to try half a degree. So lift up the foot a little. I slide it into the half degree. The same on the front of the boot. You can push your foot down. And I check again here. Can you flex forward here? And you can see there that our plumb line is now tracking much straighter. So for me, I think this boot doesn't need so much adjustment. I don't think we'll adjust the left foot, but we are going to use a canting shim of 0.5 degrees on the right boot to bring the boot slightly in and make sure that we are flexing in a straight angle. So now we've made our assessment and we know roughly that we're going to use 0.5 degrees on the right foot. So now we are going to place a canting shim on the boot here in between the lifter plate and the shell. If you have a boot which has removable toes and heels, you can also place this shim between the two. These are available in different angles from 0.5 to 3 degrees. And as we saw in the assessment, the 0.5 shim looks like it's going to work pretty well here. So we are going to use a canting chip between the lifter and the boot itself here. If you have a boot where there is a replaceable toe and heel, you can also place this shim in between the two. It's very important here that you remember that these are available in different angles, 0.5 to 3 degrees, and up to 0.5 degrees, you can install this with no other work. If you're using 1 to 3 degrees, it's very important to maintain binding security and to keep the DIN 5355 as it should be. So if this is the case, we will need afterwards to cut the boot here to enable us to keep this DIN standard as its best. Now I have removed the lifter plate, we can place the canting shim underneath the lifter plate and re-screw the lifter plate onto the boot. It's important here to remember what you did in your assessment. In this case, we needed to bring the boot slightly inwards, so we take care to make sure that the thicker side of the shim is on the outside of the boot. Now we can screw the lifter back into place. Now we have the canting plate positioned between the boot and the lifter. At the front, we can do exactly the same also with the back of the boot. Now we are ready to take the boot back to DIN 5355 and have the customer try the boot on again just to check that everything is going to plan. So now we've made our assessment and we've installed our canting shim. Remember, 0.5 degrees on the right boot, bringing it slightly inwards. We're now going to check again just as a final step with the plumb line to make sure that our customer is flexing nice and straight. And back. And we can see there now that the plumb line is following a nice straight path. So we will have a much flatter ski and it will be much easier for him to initiate his turns. And that really is all we have to do on this particular level. If you want to take alignment further, there are many different techniques to learn, and you need to start at the bottom by learning how to walk before you start to run. So to summarize, first, level 1, cuff alignment. It's very important here to remember, always do this with a custom footbed inside the shell so that your customer is correctly positioned inside the boot. And remember that we are trying to adapt the shape of the boot to fit the shape of the leg and not to correct. So if your customer is a little bandy-legged, we are going to put the cuffs to the outside of the boot and not correct it by bringing inside. And for level 2, when we are talking about under boot alignment or true canting, please remember that this will give your customer a much flatter ski, make turn initiation much easier, and generally give him a much better experience. If you want to pick up a few more hints and tips, please remember, don't hesitate to watch the other episodes.